actually. Drivers are off.
All right, so let's see. Turn one. Here we go. That's a great picture right there. Wish I had the screenshot button ready to go. Nice. Everyone made it in one. These some great camera angles here. Okay, hey, that's tidy. Everyone made it through.
As we mentioned, it's a narrow track, so as you're running in a pack, you have to be cognizant of in front of you, on the sides, all around you.
Yep. You know, and I think with this as well, I mean, you know, you want to push to stay with the pack, but at the same time, you have to realize your own ability. And, you know, when we're racing endurance racing, you know, it's a sprint race for sure for long periods of time, but you always have to just kind of know what your limits are, pick your points, set in a groove, and the track, it'll come back to you. I mean, look at this right here. You know, Tim was quite a few car lengths back. These three decided to have a little jostle, and it's right back in the program, right? So you don't need to over push yourself early. It's you know, like all the racers say, you know, you're not gonna win on the first lap. You must finish, right? So it's this is good. Looks like we're bubbling up a little bit here. Hey, I think this is a good spot to be here.
Absolutely. Coming around Tower Turn, here's where you can get some speed.
Yeah, once you get out of that, boy, plant it. Let it happen. 15. Yeah, that first to 9, that's bunched up, isn't it?
Absolutely.
On the back straight. Yeah, this is one of those spots actually where, you know, when you're racing real and actually even now virtually, you can take a little break here, although sometimes they're doing well over 270 kilometers an hour. That's a good place to sort of chill out thoughts. Crazy to say it and listen to that, but yeah, it's a good spot to, you know, relax yourself a little bit in the car before you start another lap.
Coming around the turn, you know, I think, as we mentioned, you got to keep the line, but you also have to know where to brake, because a car will get under you. You know, it'll slide out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing with the car with turbos and, you know, 600 plus horsepower, you know, you've always got the ability to power out of something. You don't necessarily want to try and, you know, obviously you can make up a lot of time by getting that braking point right, but if you miss the braking point and you miss the turn, well, you miss a lot more time. So it's, you know, really try and almost brake a little bit earlier than you think you'd need to, and just get in that groove. You know, it's get in that groove. I love seeing this stuff. You know, when you're at the real races, you're in the back of the pits, you know, the timing stands where the engineers sit and all the crews behind it. You know, you've got all these TV screens, all these monitors up, and you can see fuel, tyre pressures, tyre temperatures, G's, this, that, and you can pretty much see every turn on the track as well. So we're constantly looking, and generally real teams have spotters, you know, so you'd have someone out on a turn, you know, calling the race, especially for those in the GT classes, you know, that, you know, you've got all these faster cars coming out with you. And I think, you know, when you look at Sebring this last weekend, you have DPIs. I think the quickest time was 1:47.6 by Durrani in the Cadillac. You know, then you go into the LMP2, GTLM and GTD categories. You know, the LMP2's a little bit slower than the DPIs. Still kind of looking the same sort of car, but obviously they can race worldwide. They were doing 1:49s. I think Gustavo, good old Gustavo, good buddy, good old boy. I love watching him race. You know, he's out there in the Rebellion car. You know, and he did a 1:49.6 in a race. Then you've got into the GTLMs. They're doing 1:57.9s. I think Tandy got that in the Corvette. They obviously won this weekend as well in the GT class. And then these cars here, you know, you look at the times they're doing 1:59s. So we're right between the GTLM, GTD categories. GTDs, they were doing 2 minutes 2, the quickest time there that Hawksworth put in the Lexus. Great to see Lexus, you know, out there really finding their groove in the real racing too. And so I think when you look at these times, I mean, these guys are doing a good job. I mean, pretty competitive times here. And as we've seen, sim to real, you know, a lot of these drivers can get pretty close to their real and virtual times. So they're doing a respectable job. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Durrani did 3.7 miles in 1.476. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and some of the speeds that they're doing around here are absolutely fantastic, and I think that's one of those really cool things. I'm actually just going to pull up, because there's one thing I wanted to later on. We'll talk about some of the top speeds, because some of these speeds that they're pulling around here is pretty crazy, and I think yeah. So here it is here. So 310 miles an hour. 310 miles is the total distance. 115 mile an hour was what the big DPIs were doing. 112 was the LMP2, 107 GTLMs, and 103 for the GTDs. That's some good top speeds there.
Here we just see Ben making a move on the stem car.
Yep. Ben just needs to really see where he is with Nelson, and I think Nelson, isn't he, is a little further up the field. Nelson's in first, so obviously Ben's pushing here. He'll have the bit between his teeth, and we're driving in there with Scott. Scott always puts his Discord up, so we're able to watch him as well when he's driving through Discord. Some of these guys have Twitch channels as well, and that's obviously a great way to watch their drivers live feed too. And next week we'll be putting out some hero cards of each of the drivers, so you can see what their avatars look like and what they look like. No more hiding behind the screen now, guys. So yeah, some of these guys have some pretty wild suits and helmets going on, so it's always good to see what artistic things they come up with. But I love that about Forza, because it's not just about the racing, right? There's a platform there for them to understand the cars, look at setting up the cars. As much as we have a fixed setup for these races, maybe in the future we'll have it so people can do setups, but when these guys are testing, they can try with ABS on and off. They can try different tire pressures. They can try different ride heights and all this stuff. And it's very complex. And we'll probably do a piece on that. I'll probably see if we can chat with Ian about him, getting him on and going through some of the setups a little bit and showing what some of the Forza platforms enable. These guys that own the Forza platform, whether it's on a Zotac or whether it's on an Xbox. That's really cool. But then also from a creative perspective, you can sit there and design these cars, and put the liveries on as we've done, and represent these brands, and make this a lot of fun, but also some strong business in them. As the weeks have gone on, we've been working a lot with all these teams and stuff, and a lot of business is happening between these drivers and business owners as well. There's a lot of fun going on, so nice. I've also enjoyed hearing a lot of families really kind of enjoying this time together as well, where you've probably got, I know, Kevin and Brandon and their family, Zotac, they're very much doing this together, and it's good. It's just great to see that. We all have that
Definitely
going on. So I think it's. Here we are into turn one.
Somewhere where you can relate. Doing this with your dad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We still pinch ourselves like, hey, look, here we are doing this virtual stuff. We were moving down this path anyway with the real stuff as well, but the real's been tough to get back out there with everyone traveling so much internationally, and of course Texas and Florida is just exploding right now. But I couldn't be happier with what we've all created with this virtual stuff. It's a pleasure to watch these guys representing these brands and representing everything that we've all put together for people to be able to view, and a different way to promote companies and engage with an audience, right? Exciting to see.
Definitely. Here we've got the stem car in 7th place, riding in a pack.
Yeah, so obviously, as we know, Don and Nelson are paired together, for this race. And with old Shadow Ninja. Bunched up pretty good. So just for the viewers out there as well, just wanted to mention that you'll notice from the last few rounds we've been doing laps, 15 laps. We're doing 12 here. Because this is a longer lap, we just wanted to keep it nice and condensed, the viewing. So, the drivers are still driving the similar distances. It's just we condensed it down to 12 laps because obviously a lot of this is over 2 minute laps, whereas before we've been under 2 minutes. So that's why we're doing this condensed 12 lap format.
Absolutely.
I love this back straight. On this here, as we're coming in, because I love this. So as you turn into 17A here, this right-hander, right as they turn in and they're close to that wall where that guy up is in the camera guy, I normally take sponsors down here and have them stand on that wall, and I generally get them down there before practice starts. And I say, hey, let's just stand on the track, let's just get up on the wall. It's a big concrete girder, right? And I'll just say, hey, just lean on that. Just check it out when the cars come around. The cars are coming down there, like well over 100 mile an hour, right? And they turn in at you, and it's awesome. I mean, you can literally touch the roof of these cars. So I always love taking, most of these tracks we go to, I love taking the sponsors to a spot that's most people can't get to, but it's just, it gives them another experience, right? And just connects them to the power and the performance of these things and the ability of these drivers, So, yeah, whereas now they're able to sit at home and clip that apex themselves.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, that fan experience is unlike anything else.
Yeah. I know we've had a lot of rain this weekend in the real race. I'm glad that virtually it's not raining, because that definitely makes it more interesting. I know on these Michelin tyres that they run in IMSA, wet, slicks, they're as good either way around. It's down to driver preference. But yeah, wet racing is obviously a little bit slower because it's slicker, but it scrubs the speed off. But boy, those wet Michelins cut through the stuff pretty good. But these guys, they got a dry track, so this is tasty. You got to glow into those brakes. Classic. Another classic one at Sebring is when it gets dark and you're watching the cars go into these complexes. And as they're turning in, the brakes are glowing like that too. It's just, they're on fire.
Sure.
And, like we were saying earlier, is these races are normally 12 hours long. You have to manage the brakes, in a real race, because they will be cooked, as the video we'll watch later, is that they can become useless when you're just pressing on steel, but or carbon, as some of the prototypes have. But it's there's the turn-in cone. Took a little bumper there. Look at that. That's good straight line braking.
Speaking of resources, I saw a few drivers run out of gas yesterday.
Yeah. It's
right at the finish line.
Maybe the period, some of the engineers' calculators aren't working so good. But it's tricky. When they had all that wet time, they weren't on track that much. Because when it's lightning on the track, you can't really go on track. Wet's one thing, but if there's lightning out there, you've got to protect the corner workers because they're sitting out there, with a plastic porta cabinet, portaloo next to them and a wood building. It's probably not the best thing for the corner workers. So IMSA's always been great, safety for everybody, right? And I think, but on that note though, with the engineers, they didn't get much running time. And if they haven't been here for quite a few months, and some even a year, they couldn't really hone the car in. You setting up a wet car for a dry race, it's kind of no point really. So there's not much that they can do. So I bet some of those fuel numbers were caught close in the end, which is where the cars were running out of fuel. That was just getting the pit strategy right.
Definitely. You bring it back to how much of a team sport this is and how everyone is playing a vital role into the overall performance of the car and the team, and really critical.
Absolutely. I think it's good to bring that up again. I think the team is everything. You're as good as the people you surround yourself with. And, I know a lot of these teams, certainly some of the bigger ones, teams have been restricted of who travels. It's essential crew. So, when you take a team, everybody's essential, right? If they're employed and they're part of the team, they're part of the team. So some of these teams probably have a few people on their radios at home and things like that. And, there'll be smaller crews there, but all those that are over the pit wall, operating the tyres, the fuel, the driver changes, the engineers, they'll probably have a minimum media and marketing crew. Obviously no sponsors will be going, so you don't have that kind of, that was kind of what I was doing, back and forth forth between the pits and sponsors, bringing groups, taking groups. You know, you don't have any of that interaction. Look at what we do with our sponsors and partners on this and Discords. I mean, we got our own VIP lounges set up in Discords. You know, I love how you can just move between these different VIP lounges virtually and set up a camera angle. It's I look forward to crossing that over into the real world, because we've definitely learned some stuff from the virtual world to add to the experience, as you say, in the real world. You know, that's a shame there. Don was running good there. Hopefully he can get out of that wall. I didn't see that, but I think the two of those tapped, didn't they?
Something happened for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can get back out there.
Yeah, I mean, so the one thing there is obviously Don was a little down from Nelson. Nelson's in the lead, and that's who he's racing his teammate this thing. So, you know, that's a tough one to come out here and try and beat a pro driver. But as we've seen, Don has some great pace and is generally right there with that pack. So, you know, if something did happen and Nelson went out, you know, he's in a good spot. So, you know, as long as he finishes the race, he's good. He's back on track, as we see, back in 8th there. So he'll get himself back up into the pack again. And it'll all be good. Look at the lines off the running line there. You know, there's a lot of late break missed turns there. Yeah,
a lot of action happening out there.
Yeah, you know, I mean, but when you're watching this, I mean, I know we're watching the cars and who's in front, but just watch the tarmac for a lap, right? So look at this here, right? We're coming down a back straight, clearly where bombers used to land. Bumps and divots, holes. Look at the change of thing. Look at the rubber, you know. I mean, you've got cracks here that have got Play-Doh in them, right? And all of that car's going sideways. And you come down here, you go, oh, hello, a bit of smoothness, but no, it's bumpy as anything here. You can see the wheels just going dugga, 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 you know. And then coming into this turn one, you know, this is all looking smooth, but you've got, there you are, look at this. It's like in Belisha Beacon, you know, it's like a zebra crossing in England. And then braking point. You got 3 different pieces of tarmac there with different, you know, probably different people from different zip codes have come in to lay that over the years. And that all makes the beauty of this track, you know. This is a pretty smooth bit round here, you know, which is nice because it's flat out. And then you get into your braking point. Boy, Brandon, that was a pretty... Brandon and Ben going at it here. This is good. Well, this is good racing. I know these guys will play nicely. It's good we're on these guys. But they'll be having fun together. I know Brandon's been learning a lot from Ben, and Ben's been enjoying working with him. And I love it how he gets off every weekend. He goes, oh, I just love it when the guys get better. It makes it more enjoyable for me. You know, and you don't hear that much. You know, it's again, whether these aren't in the same team, but they're all out there racing, and the respect is excellent. I love it.
Nothing wrong with a little crime of passion, you know?
No, nothing wrong with that at all. It's, you know. Actually, here on this back straight now, they've started letting motorhomes come in to the left. So you see here, these motorhomes, this is fans. These people jump in their RVs, come from miles around, park up. And it's always funny when you're on in the pits, you know, looking over the front straight. So as we're coming around here, this is obviously the front straight. You know, to the right of the car, you've got the pits. To the left, you have fans backing up their RVs too. And it's really funny sitting there watching the fans. I mean, they put scaffolding up, and they'll sit up in scaffolding, and they'll sit there the whole race and watch the race, watch the pit stops. And because they're up, they can look down on the pits, and super cool. I mean, this is just such a raw track, and you know, it's great for Sebring, because obviously when we come here and race, it does great for their economy, great for their businesses. There's not much goes on here when there's not much racing, but they do a lot of track days here. Quite a busy track. A lot of people want to come here and drive here with a bucket list, you know, like let's take my Porsche or something else. A lot of these car clubs come here, so it's nice that the track is open to do that. Super cool.
Yeah, so you're saying that the city just turns electric when IMSA is in town.
Yeah, and it's funny because, you know, more and more hotels have been coming into the area since since the races have been coming on here for the last 50 or so years. Well, way more than that, but, you know, a lot of decades. And, you know, some of these hotels, you know, it's... I know they're getting better as they go, but some of them, who I mentioned, some of them, they should pay you to stay there with the amount of protein falls all over but there ended up being a couple of hundred, 300, 400. You know, the numbers go up, but you know, a lot of teams don't mind that, because if you don't stay in Sebring, you're into a 40+ minute drive, and in the mornings coming into the track, it's not feasible. You know, you've got one road that comes in, but as you see, most of the fans camp out. I mean, it's everywhere there's a bit of grass, they camp out, and then some of the other turns they've got, you know, car corrals for the BMW or Porsche or Corvette. You know, great car corrals, so people drive in, park up in the middle, all good stuff. But well, enough about the history for a little while. We are down to our last lap, aren't we, mate? So let's plug in and see what's cracking on. You know, this looks like we're on to the last. Well, 2 more laps, because we got 1 more to go after this. Nicely spread out.
See, got some middle of the pack here. Got the stem car in 6th place. All coming around for the final lap now.
That's a classic shot right there. I love that angle into turn 1, looking up the pit straight. Brilliant. Emotional.
Yeah, here we've got the stem car again. Looks like he's got somebody on his heels
right now. You know, none of these guys are racing at each other per se in the lobby. So you know, with their pairings. So really just a matter of making sure they don't nudge each other out, so they don't lose whoever they are racing against. Little late braking nudge there. Love tap, as we say.
Yeah. Here we see both the stem cars kind of paired up, working in a pack.
Yeah, as all the pairings go, these two are very compact. Oh, no, boys. Oh, no. Last lap. Whoever was behind second there, that was Scott that nudged Zach, and they both lost a place on that one. That wasn't good team orders, but we don't have these teams don't have people over the radio saying keep it together, you know. But let's see what happens on the last lap here. But Don lucked out there. Don got a couple of spots up.
Yeah, and looking at our standings, we've got a couple DNFs, so this should we should see some shakeup in the leaderboard going into our final race. Yeah,
and I know a couple of these guys do have a tough time with Wi-Fi in their homes, you know. And it's only, I think, because the world is on Wi-Fi more than ever, isn't it? And you know, looking at some of the numbers last week on something that popped up on LinkedIn, I was like, flip me, it's crazy. It's amazing that the cell phone services still work. So kudos to all the cell phone companies and Wi-Fi companies, and you know, all these companies that are setting up, you know, these areas to make sure that that's taken care of. It's amazing, really, that we're not losing more people. So, you know, kudos to that, really. Yeah. So Caesar and Joel are out. Could be damage, could be Wi-Fi. Or maybe the kettle boiled and they need to get the tea bag out. You know, you just.
Here we go, coming around the tower turn.
It's good. We're in with Nels here then for the so Nelson Mason finishing up the lap here. Good to get on board with the pro here and watch what generally is a pretty flawless lap with him. But I know, as Ian always says, don't say stuff like that because you go and jinx it. But this is going to be good. Here we are on the back straight. Yeah. Let's see how he takes this last turn, because this is good. Big thing to watch here is they chuck it in on power, and then you lift and brake and downshift in a straight line. So here we go, 17A, chuck it in on power, RPM up. You see it now? It's dropping. Now he's downshifting. Yeah. Now you're just manhandling it round. Release the car, let it go wide, back on the power, up the gearbox. That was good.
That was clean.
Glad we got to.
Here we've got Ben, second place.
Yep. That was good. So Nelson got that one. This is good. So this will go down to the wire then for the old race 3 for those two. Nothing like a bit of spice in your tank.
Yeah, here we see the Zotac car.
Yeah, with Alessio here. He's really found his groove actually the last couple of races, and you know, I mean, we've all been driving a lot on multiple different platforms to kind of have a look at what other platforms are doing. As much as we are glued with Forza and absolutely love it, I mean, we've had that relationship since back in 2007 actually, and you know, it's been just great seeing from Forza 1 up to Forza 7 where we're at now. I mean, look at this stuff. I mean, sometimes you just have to pinch yourself and remind yourself that you're watching something virtual. It's
Absolutely
fantastic.
Zotac car just wrapped up in 8th place.
Yeah, that was a solid little run there from Brendan. Obviously, he was he was paired up with Ben, so Ben got that one. Then Nels obviously got his one against Don. I think Don got himself back up there after he got himself nudged off. I think someone nudged him off, got himself back up. Then the stem guys had a little tussle, and then he got himself 2 more spots. So just shows you. I mean, he's very experienced with gaming, knows racing very well. So racecraft is well there. But I have to say, I mean, there's a track I don't generally see. So this coffee shop right there is fantastic. Be great for Closer's Coffee, Carlos.
Definitely. We got a direct line of sight towards it with the Aldrain car. Looks like he undercalculated the turn there.
Absolutely, and
got the America car here.
I know, so that's the good. So basically we got the D3 Transformers team, both the white and the red one, so the Pro-Am and the crew car up there on the podium.
All right, so we just wrapped up second race. A lot of action out there. What Simon, tell us what you saw and what do you expect going into the next race?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously saw a little bit of pushing from the mid pack. You know, really trying to find, you know, get some time up, get their speed up, things like that. You know, can't stress enough. Just keep watching and keep remembering who you're racing against. You know, obviously use these races as well just to try and keep smooth. But we definitely saw a little bit more push in there, a little bit more wandering off lines. But for the most part, great racing, great camera angles to see. We definitely went on a history journey there because the racing was so smooth and talking about all the wonders of Sebring in the city and everything. But no, from a racing perspective and from a driver's, great job. And as we've seen in the past rounds, I think we should see a pretty solid race 3. What's really coming out this week is that it seems like they're very glued to who they're racing against. And I don't know if it's just because we're really looking at those pair-ups now with us moving into the final race next week. But it definitely seems like there's a little bit of that positioning going on. But I don't know what you think on that.
No, definitely. And we'll pull up our current standings just to show our audience where things lie. As you mentioned, Ben still in first place, but there's the pack is moving around, so definitely things are going to be interesting going to the third race.
Yeah, it's still pretty much the same, isn't it? So we're sort of seeing those pair-ups working quite nicely. I love this Swiss format. I just love it. I think what we all came up with here to do this is just brilliant, because every time this thing comes up, you look at that and go, not every real race weekend can you guarantee that you can qualify where you want to qualify, because, you know, with 30, 40, I mean, you imagine 30, 40 cars on track together like this, when can you get a clean lap, right? So this is working out really well. I like it. It's not encouraging get the quickest. It's just be consistent, you know, make it good. So some good stuff there.
Absolutely. And so, you know, I think we've got one more race coming up. I think we saw a couple DNFs. Hopefully these guys kind of get their bearings back, get things under control, and as they're hopping into the lobby or applying some of those learnings into this next race. For our fans out there, we're excited for one more race. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Into like